I didn't fall in love with Alexander Kingsley. I married him because my father's heart was failing, and I needed $3 million by Friday. The first time I walked into Kingsley Tower in Manhattan, I felt like an imposter wearing borrowed heels. Everything in the lobby gleamed. Marble floors, mirrored walls, security scanners that looked like they belonged in a military compound. Men in tailored suits moved like they had somewhere important to be. Women with sharp eyes and sharper heels whispered into discreet headsets. I clutched my purse like it was the only thing tethering me to reality. 3 days earlier, my father had collapsed in our kitchen. One second he was laughing about burnt toast. The next he was on the floor, clutching his chest and gasping like he was drowning in air. The hospital lights were too bright. The doctor's voice too calm. Severe coronary blockage. He needs immediate surgery. It's high risk. How much? I asked. The pause told me everything before he even said it. $3 million. We didn't have insurance. My father's hardware store had barely survived the recession. Savings were gone. Loans were impossible. I tried everything. Banks. Friends. Online fundraisers I couldn't bring myself to publish. Nothing. Then the phone call came. This is Evelyn Ward, executive assistant to Mr. Alexander Kingsley. He would like to meet you. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Now I was here. The elevator doors opened to the top floor. His office was glass and skyline. The entire city stretched beneath him like something he owned. Alexander Kingsley stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. He was taller than I expected. Broad shoulders. Dark hair. A perfectly cut charcoal suit. His presence wasn't loud, it was controlled. Intentional. Miss Carter, he said smoothly. Please sit. His eyes were gray. Not cold. Just unreadable. I will be direct, he said. I know about your father's condition. My stomach twisted. How? I make it my business to know things. He slid a folder across the desk. Medical records. My financial statements. My teaching contract. My student loan debt. He knew everything. I will pay for your father's surgery. The words nearly broke me. In return, you will marry me. The room went silent. This is insane. It's strategic. Why me? He studied me carefully like I was an investment. You have no scandals. No criminal record. You are loyal to your family. You once refused a settlement in court because it would have harmed other tenants. I swallowed. You researched me. Yes. And you think I'll just agree? You need $3 million by Friday. He wasn't wrong. The contract was precise. 3-year marriage. Public appearances. Absolute discretion. No children. No public scandals. At the end, a clean divorce with a settlement large enough to secure my future. It was a business deal. I thought about my father in that hospital bed, oxygen tubes in his nose. I'll do it, I said. The surgery was scheduled within 48 hours. The best cardiac team in the country performed it. Alexander made one phone call, and the impossible became immediate. My father survived. A week later, I married a billionaire. The ceremony was private. No press. No fairy tale. Just signatures and silence. The penthouse he brought me to overlooked Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Art that probably cost more than my childhood home. We had separate bedrooms. In public, he touched my waist and leaned close for photographs. He looked at me like a man in love. In private, he was distant. Controlled. Always watching. 6 months into the marriage, I learned why. I found him bleeding in his study. The cut along his side wasn't an accident. You need stitches, I said. It's handled. It's not. As I cleaned the wound, I saw old scars, knife wounds, bullet grazes. You're not just a CEO, I said quietly. He met my gaze. My company handles cybersecurity contracts for federal defense networks. We protect classified infrastructure. That makes enemies. Enemies who stab you? Yes. A week later, a note arrived in a plain envelope. You married the wrong man. Security dismissed it as a crank threat. Then my father's hardware store burned down. Arson. The message was clear. I confronted Alexander. This is because of you. His jaw tightened. I'll increase security. That's not enough. I told you this life wasn't safe. You didn't tell me my family would become targets. He went quiet. I didn't think you would care, he said. The words cut deeper than any knife. You think I married you for money. You did. No, I said. I married you to save my father. I stayed because I choose to. Something shifted in his expression. For the first time he looked uncertain. The attack came 2 weeks later. Rain pounded against the windshield as our car stopped at a red light. A black SUV rammed into us from the side. Glass exploded. Gunshots rang out. Alexander threw himself over me as bullets shattered the windows. His body took the impact of flying glass. Security vehicles swarmed within seconds. The attackers fled. Back at the penthouse, adrenaline still shaking my hands, I demanded answers. Who are they? He finally told me. Years ago, he had exposed a criminal syndicate operating inside a defense contractor. Billions in illegal arms trafficking. Government corruption. Men with power and reach. He testified. They went to prison. But not all of them. They've been waiting, he said. For leverage. And I'm leverage. His silence confirmed it. That night something changed. He didn't retreat to his room. He stayed. When he kissed me it wasn't planned. It wasn't part of any public image. It was raw. Desperate. Like he had been holding himself back for too long. I didn't expect this, he murmured. Neither did I. Then I found the amended contract. If he died during the marriage, I would inherit controlling shares of Kingsley Dynamics. It looked like motive. Like insurance. When I confronted him, his expression went cold. My board insisted. You don't trust me. I don't trust anyone. That was the real truth. The betrayal came from inside. Evelyn Ward, his executive assistant for 10 years, had been leaking our movements. Her brother had been sentenced to 25 years after Alexander's testimony. She blamed him. She orchestrated the threats, the arson, the attack, and finally my kidnapping. They grabbed me outside a charity gala. 1 second I was smiling for cameras. The next, a cloth pressed over my mouth. I woke up tied to a chair in a warehouse near the docks. The air smelled like salt and oil. Evelyn stood in front of me, gun steady in her hand. You were leverage, she said. Nothing more. Footsteps echoed. Alexander walked in, hands raised. Security was nowhere in sight. Let her go, he said calmly. You finally care, she said with a bitter laugh. Take me instead. She smiled. I was planning to. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd black out. Evelyn turned the gun toward him. In that split second, I saw fear in Alexander's eyes. Not for himself. For me. Gunshots exploded through the warehouse as his security team stormed in. Chaos. Screams. Shattered crates. Evelyn fired. Alexander shoved me sideways. The bullet hit him. Time stopped. He fell. Security subdued her within seconds. I crawled to him, hands pressing against the blood soaking through his shirt. Stay with me, I whispered. His lips curved faintly. I told you, this life wasn't safe. Don't you dare, I choked. The ambulance ride felt endless. Surgery lasted hours. When the doctor finally emerged, I couldn't breathe. He's going to make it. Relief shattered me. When he woke up, pale but alive, his first words were, Are you hurt? I laughed and cried at the same time. You idiot. His hand found mine. I was wrong, he said weakly. You didn't marry me for money. No, I said. I married you for survival. I stayed because I love you. He closed his eyes like the words cost him everything. I love you, he said. 3 years later the contract expired. The divorce papers sat untouched on the table. He pushed them away. I'm not signing. Good, I said. Because I'm not either. This time when he held my hand there were no cameras. No contracts. No strategies. Just us. The billionaire who thought I loved his money finally understood that I loved the man who would bleed for me without hesitation. And if you think this was just about money, you haven't seen what love is willing to survive.